Welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we are serving up basics for Hearthstone improvement. This is episode 142, and as always, I am joined by Pylet. Pylet, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We have a very special guest today, returning guest, Schmoopydaddy. Schmoopy, how are you today?
What do I do with my hands?
You can wave them. You can jive them. I don't know. Oh, because we didn't do a clap. We didn't do a clap. Okay, you can clap. Go ahead, clap.
Going to clap? It's dangerous
Go ahead.
letting
That's
me
what
clap.
you need.
I almost hurt myself once. All right, I'll clap. Ready? There we go. I feel better
So,
now.
for those that don't know, when you do a podcast, a lot of times we have to sync the audio so everyone does a clap. And that way you see a little spike and you can balance the audio. But we're not doing that anymore because we have a service. And I probably should do that because it would make my life easier, but it's just easy enough to figure it out. Schmoopydaddy, we are not going to interview you tonight because we've had you on before and we have other things to do. So, what is a 30-second pitch for people to go and watch your content?
Sure, I'm a monthly Hearthstone Wild Legend player who typically hits Legend first month, and after that I goof off. And when I goof off, I play your decks. We also do deck guides and meta reports and all kinds of fun stuff in Wild.
Well, fantastic. And what have you been doing inside of the game of Hearthstone lately?
Last week was all viewer decks, mixed success. Some people were sending me things like, oh, here's this 30 card hostage rogue from top 10 EU, which I think fully confirmed to me that EU is a fake server and that nobody real actually plays on this. If a 30 card hostage rogue actually works, I have no, you just fold to the first aggro deck you see. And like none of your cards have text unless the opponent is a giant greed pile. So, I was hemorrhaging ranks, playing absolute trash, dropping like a stone. But we also did some deck guides. Recently, something I've had a lot of fun doing was like sitting down, and I don't know if you guys remember the card Zephyrus the Great from Saviors of Oldham.
Very familiar.
Somebody, I guess, hasn't made a how to play that card video in like 5 years. So I sat down and made one, which was a lot of fun. We did a deck guide on how to play Miracle Rogue, which is, I'd say, probably one of the more fun things you can do in Wild. Is just sort of like, let's just play draw into, mana cheat into, play 26 cards in a turn, and then play Zeph for a Giant Eddy, or get down Arcane Giants and make more 8/8s with Rush. That was mostly what I was doing last week. And also got a very important milestone on my Hunter wins. I got a 4K Hunter, which was like, yay! Nice round number.
Nice.
You are on the Sidisi list of Hunter wins, right?
I am, but like I have this thing where I keep forgetting that the Sidisi Hunter list starts like going for a census around this time of year every year, and I forget to respond to it. So I'm off by about like 300 ranks. So I really got to make sure that I add him this year with like, hey, no, put me on.
Very, very nice. Pylet, what have you been up to in Hearthstone? I bet you people are going to love to hear this.
Struggling a lot. As I've talked about, this October is just a busy month as a band director. We're finishing up marching band, which we'll talk about in the next part. But because I've had like just 3 days, I've really had time to sit down and play. And in those 3 days, it included a 10-game losing streak, I think. Yeah, 10-game losing streak across multiple days. I'm like 30% on the week. It's not been fun. Some of that is my deck choices because I've still been playing this Dragon Warrior, which is close, but not quite there. I was playing some big Spell Mage. I know is working for other people. It did not work for me. I've been playing Egg Warlock. I'm still not convinced that that's not an Innkeeper deck that people winning with it aren't just facing pots, because that's what it feels like when I play. It's not been fun. So I'm floundering at D10. We'll see next week if I've hit Legend or not. I have some time, but I don't know if I have the mental capacity to make that climb in this meta because I'm ready for new cards at this point.
Well, 30 days has September, April, June.
We have through Friday.
5 days.
Friday is Halloween.
You have through Halloween.
So
there you go.
We'll see.
You were climbing pretty nicely earlier on, so I believe in you. You can just figure it out. We'll get you there.
I still had 4-star bonus because I hadn't played any. That's gone away. I'm at 2x now.
Oh no. So I did as Schmoopy did. I did the theory crafting this week, which was probably the highlight of the week. I did the full 12 hours, which is something I like doing, even though I feel completely. If you've ever seen a streamer that streams 8 hours a day, and you're like, how do you do it? Like, or you don't even think about it. It is work. It is a lot of
It's
work. And if
crazy.
you see a streamer get burned out, and you're like, well, why are you burned out? You're playing video games all day. It's not just playing video games all day. It is a lot to do. So it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, sitting up on a roof, hammering nails into a roof as you're building and stuff like that. There's a lot harder jobs, but it is work. It is definitely a draining, stressful, but fun experience. I like doing it 3 times a year, maybe more, but that's it. It was a lot of fun. We'll talk about theory crafting as we go. I don't even know what the show notes are. I don't think I've ever gone into the show without looking at the show notes before, but that's today. I have been playing outside of that, mostly Frost DK. I think I mentioned last week that I hit 1K
Nice.
in Demon Hunter. So now I have 1,000 wins in every class, which is really nice. At least 1,000 wins. I have some with 3 or 4, but um, love it. It's a good time, and I haven't played a lot because I'll talk about that in the next section. But Schmoopy, what have you been doing outside of the game of Hearthstone?
All right. So outside of the game of Hearthstone, I'm a dad. My again, for just like Schmoopydaddy is not because I'm some sort of degenerate. My nickname of my son before he was born was Schmoopy, so I am Schmoopy's daddy. And I never expected to make content. This is sort of a throwaway nickname because I was being a jackass, and now I'm stuck with it. So outside of the game of Hearthstone, I have been coaching said Schmoopy in soccer. Now being a former player myself, and being a part of a startup grassroots soccer club where like my town is sort of restarting it after the whole program had gone to seed. I am immediately promoted to division commissioner, and I'm basically running a practice for 40 plus kids. I'm a teacher by trade. So this is not necessarily like news to me or like outside of my wheelhouse of being able to basically corral a bunch of cats and get them to all sort of dance in the same direction tangentially, but that's what I'm attempting to do. And along those same lines, in my own classroom, this week was pretty chill because we were doing our Physics of Mario project. I'm a physics teacher by trade. So what I have done with my students thus far in my elective level physics class, which means I'm getting a bunch of kids who would basically rather cut class than be in my class, literally be anywhere else, and I have to somehow entertain and or keep them engaged. So we're doing a Physics of Mario project where we're taking the old Mario NES, we're taking the pixelated nature of the blocks that are set there and saying, okay, let's say each block is 1 meter by 1 meter. You've got time up in the corner. We've got distance. We've got time. We can find velocity. If we can find velocity, we can find acceleration. I'm having them do little experiments in there, which is really an excuse for them to play Mario on an unblocked website for 5 days. So like, things could be worse. That's me outside of Hearthstone.
I love that. That's
Do
awesome.
you have you figured out how hard Mario's head has to be to break those bricks and not hurt himself?
Ooh, I have never thought of that before. I guess we can assume it's bone, right? Like it's not bone, and it's not. Is it his head or is it his hand? Because we do the Mario jumps where we come up with a fist, and like his fist is supposed to be the thing that does it, but he definitely takes one on the dome every once in a while, right? So we're gonna have to. This is almost, well, I won't talk about that time. I've had some more interesting physics problems, but this is a pretty good one.
Fair enough. Pylet, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
So also a teacher. We finished up marching band finally this past weekend. So I have some free time again. I get my Friday nights back. I don't know what I'm going to do being able to get home at 4 o'clock on Friday this week. That's weird. That's like 8 hours earlier than I'm used to. So it's been a great season. So really awesome kids in the group this year. Really looking forward to what we can do, but ready for some time and weekends back because we've had 3 Saturdays in a row that we've had stuff. We did have this yesterday on Saturday. We had a Halloween parade for one of the towns in our district, and a group of the seniors, asked to dress up as minions, and we dress up as Gru. So we had some fun with that.
Nice.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. I even got one of the little like light up nightlight moons to hold up for the picture. It was great. And then outside of that, finish up. This was the last weekend for Lorcana set champs for the month. It kind of fell on a nice weekend for me to thin out some competition because there was a big challenge tournament in Milwaukee, which is not overly far from where I am, definitely for a bigger tournament. So some of the better players were there. It almost worked in my advantage. I just missed the store I went to today we had 13 players. So it was a cut to top 4. And my last match is I was 2-1, and basically we were playing for the last spot. We weren't quite sure if we were going to make it because tiebreakers were really weird. Ended up getting stomped that round, but I did do just well enough to at least get my fancy cardboard. Oop, that's upside down on stream. Got my fancy card for top 8. Kind of snuck in there with tiebreakers. Played a version of Emerald Steel that I played last week that I got run over because I didn't have enough comeback mechanics. So tweaked a couple things, added some disruption, and decided to be a little bit evil. Added a lot of discard stuff into it. Probably could have been a little bit better, but it definitely worked out well. I was very exhausted after 2 of my matches. I played 2 games in a row against the top deck, and I definitely made it a lot better against that top meta deck. But all the games went down to like, both of us were like 1 to 2 turns away from winning and just trying to desperately keep the other one from getting there. And it was exhausting, absolutely exhausting.
Nice. I see Schmoopy is sending you decks that may be able to help you in Wild as we're talking right now. I just love that.
Wouldn't
we're
do
gonna-
that. He said Dragon Warrior. I have something for that. I'm not like a top player where I'm like constantly cooking decks. I'm more like a decretary or just like an aggregator. Like I have a bunch of resources. I know what levers to pull. If I don't have a list, I usually know who to ask for one. And he said Dragon Warrior, and I had to send him the Dark Gift Dragon Warrior that did really well at a low sample size in Wild last expansion. So don't mind me.
That actually looks very similar to what I'm playing in Standard right now.
Yeah, it's got similar tools.
It's right about there.
I'd rather have Dectators than the other things that have been going around in the in the world. So my outside of Hearthstone has been very Hearthstone related because for the most part, for the last week, I have been working on separating bread and butter from Tito Santana. So as a small content creator, and I have a podcast, I started putting everything as far as the live streams and the shorts and the podcast on my YouTube, and we had all that. And so now it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, I better separate it. So I've spent all this time separating things, and you would not believe how much more work it is than you would expect it to be. But we have now the bread and butter brand, the Tito Santana brand. So there's no music, but we are separating everything, and it's been a pain in the butt, but we're almost done, I think. And now it's just kind of things like this is supposed to be updating to YouTube right now at the same time. However, because it says I don't have the advanced features enabled, and I have to then send a video of me doing things, which I already did. And every time it says, "Oh, you need to do this," I click on it. They say, "You've already done this." I'm like, "Well, then why don't I have the services?" So it's
typical YouTube.
And it's been a week of that too, because so I am moving out of where I'm living right now, and I'm moving in with my parents at 50 years old, but only during the week because I live down in New Hampshire, and then I work down in Rhode Island, and I need a place to stay during the week, and they live near where I work. So it's going to be awkward as hell, but it's okay. We're going to be podcasting from a new place as of next week, and I need to get a bed. So I had a credit card that I hadn't used yet, and I need to put it on my Apple Pay. So I took care of that today, and I got it on that. Everything was great. And I got down to the BJ's, and I bought a mattress, and I went to go pay for it, and it was like declined. And so then I went and I called them. I was like, "What's going on with this?" And they said, "Oh, we need you to do this." So I had to send a little video and a picture of my ID and all that. And they said, "Okay, you're great." I went back to back and paid for it, declined. And it's like they made me do the rigmarole like 3 times. And finally I was like, "You're going to stay on the phone with me until I get this mattress and I get to go home." And then I had decided that during that time, instead of going from a full mattress for a twin mattress, I'm like, "Nah, I'm just going to a full mattress, even though it's more money, because I'm going to be sleeping on this 5 days a week. Let's keep it simple." And then I couldn't get it back into my car. So I had to go back into the BJ's and say, "Hey, can you just hold this until I come back with the truck tomorrow?" Because original, I'm like, I can put a twin in here, no problem. But a full, I'm like, I think I can get that in there. I was wrong. It does not fit in a Nissan Rogue. Maybe I could have made it work, but it didn't. So take care of it tomorrow and all that. And aside from that, I spent a bunch of time editing stuff. Like I had all that content from the theory crafting, so I spent a lot of time starting to like go through this footage, which is like the biggest thing, get it all done. And then I tried to like, oh crap, I'm not going to finish it, so I had to get it into my laptop. I had to put it on Google Drive, and it was like, nope, that's going to take like 4 hours to upload and process and all that. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm leaving in an hour, so I get to start all that work again tomorrow. At least I know what I'm doing. But yeah, anyway, Pilot, we have any news today?
We have a little bit of news. So middle of last week, early last week, we got the community events announcement for leading up to the set. Part of this news is already outdated because the theory crafting streams already happened, so you can scroll down if you're reading the article now. But we do have the pre-release Tavern Brawl starting on Tuesday. That sounds right. Tuesday this week, where you'll be able to play the new cards, so you'll be able to open Timeways packs in this brawl. Cross Timeways will be legal, as well as Core Set, Event Set, Lost City, and Lost City of Unguro. With one exception, they are banning Dive the Galactica Depths, which is the Paladin Murloc quest for the event. If you remember last pre-release brawl, that was already pretty strong then, so they don't want that going over the new cards as much now. Same as before, 2 tavern tickets, 300 gold or 400 roost stones for it. It's 6 wins or 3 losses for each run you lock in your deck at the beginning, and you get more packs to open cards and keep building decks. So we're going to talk a lot more about that here in a little bit. Also have community days coming up from October 28th through November 1st, where you can get packs for watching any Hearthstone stream on Twitch. It is 2 hours per drop. The first drop is 3 Emerald Dream packs. The second drop is 3 Lost City of Unguro packs. And the third drop is 4 Timeways packs. So that starts on Tuesday at Blizzard o'clock, depending on your time zone. And then one kind of update to standard. Because of the amount of time that rewind takes, they are taking one of the rewinds off of Mr. Clocksworth as we to set up for this brawl. So Mr. Clocksworth is now only 2 rewinds. That is because the animation takes so long because the client has to go and reset the game state. So the sand going across is to help put something there while that is happening. They have worked to speed it up, and I know everyone that has played Rewind, I've heard them all talk about, it's noticeably faster. And they are going to keep updating it and finding ways that they can make that more efficient in the future. So that'll be a constant thing that they're looking at. But I know on the client side, that's a very heavy thing to do. I know Marvel Snap had a similar thing to where they had a card to where it reset the whole turn, and that took just as long, if not longer, because it play all the cards and then it's just like, oh nope, we're doing it again. So I know that's intensive, but I'm glad that they're working on it.
Yeah, it was so much better during the theory crafting. Like it was noticeably different. That as wow, rewind seems much faster. And I didn't play Mr. Clockworth because why would I? But it did seem like it was. And when I mentioned that, I said, "Hey, it looks better," because they didn't tell us this. They didn't tell us going to theory crafting that it's improved. They just were like, "Well, I wonder if anybody will notice." And we said, "Hey, yeah, it looks much faster." And like, yeah, and we're still working on it. So they've received our feedback. They heard World 8 when he complained about it a couple weeks ago on the Butter show here, and they decided like, hey, if World 8's unhappy, everyone's unhappy. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, are we moving on to theorycraft to actually talk about the theory crafting now, or is there more stuff?
No,
Nope,
that's
that's
fine
it.
with me.
Schmoopy, what'd you think of theory crafting this time around?
I'm going to admit, I came in a little bit late. So you did 12 hours. I did about 4. About an hour of that, I was on a call with other soccer coaches for my particular league, talking about travel soccer. And so once my little section of that call was done, which was about 10, 15 minutes, I was mostly copying and pasting copy pastas into Born to Be Wild chat with reckless abandon, because that's like, you go to standard chats and you guys are kind of timid and you might talk about the plays, or you might say hi to the streamer, or you might like talk about the cards, but like you go to a wild chat and like if nobody's being a smarmy jackass, like it's not a party. So like it's kind of like the difference between like showing up to a frat and they're kind of like everybody's just sort of standing around with beers, or if like you show up to a frat and there's like a light show and music playing. So like that's what I was trying to do for the most part. But I'd say like decks that did stack, like individual cards stuck out more to me than decks. But I will say that I liked the payoff for like the stop that. I like the payoff for the dormant DH. Like I liked, paying a 4 mana for a 7/9 rush beast. Like that seemed pretty sweet. We played a very aggressive, well cooked aggro warlock that felt pretty good. Pirate shaman felt pretty good, pretty much off the back of a single card, which we'll talk about later, no doubt. I don't know. Like, I think honestly, I know you brought me on to talk about theorycraft. I think you guys probably have a better handle on what you thought was good there than I did.
Sure. I definitely enjoyed theory crafting a lot. I think there was a lot of fun decks. It's hard to tell. Actually, quick question before we move on to my thoughts. Pilot, for the brawl next week, there's no StarCraft, right? There's no
Correct.
starships.
Correct.
Beautiful. So that means no Protoss Priest, right?
None.
Yes, you are safe for a week.
I cannot wait for that deck to die in a horrible fire. Anyway,
I played the Diamond 8 so far.
Oh, I'm not. If you like it, play it. Great. I'm happy for you. I just hate seeing it because it's such a smooth brain deck that I just hate seeing it. But
that's what I need.
So I go into theory crafting, and my goal is to just try everything. I'm not trying to win unless I'm playing a person I want to win, and I do try to win. I try to win with what I have, but I made multiple decks with Explodinators as a primary card in the deck. And if that doesn't tell you, I didn't bring any Rycleaver. I should have brought some Rycleaver. But I was there to have fun. I was there to try out the new cards. I was there to see what happens. And I was, it was fun. Rafam is awesome.
Yes.
I think Rafam is going to be exactly where it belongs. It's going to be a low tier 2, high tier 3 deck, maybe, that is going to be overplayed because people have so much fun with it, and people are going to run dirty rats because they don't want to deal with Rafam, and it's going to shape the meta in such a weird way, even though the deck's going to be at like a 47% win rate. It's going to be ticking us all over again. But I don't care. Rafam's a good boy. I finally want to play Warlock again. It's great. And the Warlocks, the aggro Warlock with the Shreds of Time and the damage shake, that's a fun deck. Warrior felt really fun. The Rogue was not great. It was exciting. I was looking forward to. I really, I actually pulled off the King Lane thing, and I got someone down to 13 health. I think it was a pizza. It might have been pizza. I played it, and I got the thing to happen, but it didn't matter. The Paladin felt really fun and good. I don't know if it was good. The Shaman felt like it should have been good, but it wasn't. So I don't know. I mean, obviously a lot of this stuff, there's refinement to do and all like that. Demon Hunter felt really good. In fact, I played a listener, JT Snow. He gave me a couple lists, I think, and they were really fun. And Quest Demon Hunter is possibly a thing with some of the tools you had. It was a lot of fun. Death Knight with Bosamdi was a lot of fun. It's a lot. I think that could be eventually a problem, but those are questions for a later day. This is assuming that when we get outside of this, you have to play 10 cards from each class, that these decks can still sustain themselves and be viable outside of a theory crafting meta, because a theory crafting meta is its own thing. You can't look at it. You can say like, wow, that was awesome. Like, I always talk about last theory crafting. So this seems to happen every theory crafting right now, is I play pizza and I think I'm going to beat pizza. And then he does something really stupid that just destroys me. Like last time it was Cinder Elemental Shaman, and he played a bunch of those, and then he played Shutter Block, and then he played Umbra, and it was just pew, 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 and I just died. And I thought that was going to be the best deck ever. And no, it wasn't. And then he did some rogue shenanigans to me this time where I was like, I'm sitting there and I'm just chatting with the chat and I'm just like, okay, he's doing the thing. I think I'm gonna whatever. I actually just posted a clip about this a few minutes ago. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got this. Wait, and then like, there's no way he gets me here. He got me there, you know. So he's only like, been a top 10 player in the top player in the world. He was ranked 1 like a week ago. So what are you gonna do? But I beat some good names. Like I was normally I see a couple names like I play a Kibler here, I play whatever there. I saw a lot of good names this time around for me, and I was like, wow, do I have good MMR now? Is my theory crafting MMR getting up? And I beat a couple people. I beat McBannerface. I beat oh God, I think I beat No Hand Gamer. I beat a few people. It was a lot of fun. And just having the opportunity to do that. We're PG, by the way, there, Schmoopy. Please keep your clothes on.
I'm sorry, I got hot.
It's a lot of fun. It is such a good time. It is such a privilege to be a part of the community and be invited to these things and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of decks that have the potential to be fun and interesting and good. It depends on what happens with the meta that we have currently and how they handle it. And I think some things need to be kind of reined in a little bit to let the other things shine. And I hope they're not afraid to do that. I'm also hoping that they eventually start doing what I really want them to do. And I say this, I think, every other podcast now is you have a core set that you give to us and say, hey, we will change things as we go into a new set and say, hey, here's some cards that are going to support this. Here's some cards that we really don't think you need anymore, and change it up and just like help us get to a better meta by just like, adjusting that core set. But anyway, what's next?
Yeah, so if that's all we have for theory crafting, we'll talk about all the options we have for the brawl next week. So before we start talking about this, one thing for listeners, if you're looking to build decks before this starts in the client, HS Guru, Donkey's website, does have a deck builder that has the filter specifically for the Tavern Brawl. So you are able to go in and start to get some ideas going. With that said, also, depending on how many packs you have, you don't know what cards you're going to open, and you can't buy packs during this, so you are kind of limited just based on what you open. It is kind of truly a pre-release event style thing, and you just play what you get. But with that said, we'll kind of go class by class just with some ideas. Disclaimer from me, because I was the one who put this together. I did not theory craft because I don't stream, and I got home at like 10 o'clock that night with 2 hours left and was very tired as I was watching Tito play. So I am going into this without any playing experience, but these are what kind of stood out and some ideas that I had, as well as we'll also throw in a lot of cards to me stood out individually. And I think that kind of supports what both of you said talking from the theory crafting. The set has a lot of generically decent cards that aren't part of a package, and that's one thing that excites me as we get into the new set, that we could just kind of play around with what the best options are. So some of those stood out for theory crafting, as well as some old decks that you can play if you don't have a lot of packs to open. So with
Hold on. Before we get into this, two things. Schmoopy, as we talk about this, if there are decks if there's reminders of things that happen in theory crafting, like feel free to jump into that and obviously put your spin on wild and as we go. I mean, I know that's not for the brawl, but if you have like things like that. And two, Pylet is not a streamer, but he was invited to be with me all day, and he's like, no, I'd rather work and whatnot. Like, didn't take the day off. So, there's a dedication for you.
Yeah, I need more than like 2 days of notice to do that. Granted, it's parent-teacher conferences, so I probably could have, but I got a lot of work done that day. It felt great. I found my desk and all the sticky notes the kids have hidden under things for the past month. So
and then as we're going, as like he's half paying attention, I'm like, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm like, because of this. He's like, wait, that didn't happen. He's like, oh wait, that happened. When did that happen? It was really good because Pylet is not usually that far out of it, but
I was trying to also build my Lorcana deck for this weekend at the same time because I knew I wouldn't have time Friday or Saturday.
Sounds like shenanigans.
So Death Knight.
So
Dude, don't you
Death Knight,
love being? Was it parent teacher? Are you parent teacher conference? Like it's parent teacher conferences, and no one's coming to your subject, right?
exactly.
Like you got like acres and acres of time. Though I don't know. Actually, do you get a lot in for band? I imagine you wouldn't because it's sort of no, right? Because I get juniors and seniors, and mostly it's a throwaway class, so it's like I see maybe like 4 parents over like 8 hours. So it's like, what am I going to do with myself, right?
I saw 2 people over 11 hours.
Nutty.
Over 2 days. One of them was a student who is coming because she forgot something in her band locker. So she stopped by right before she stopped by and knocked on the door. She's like, I need this. So, and one was a parent that I wasn't planning on talking to. She just happened to be down there, so she was asking me a question. So it's great. Anyways, Death Knight, which is not teaching related. Things that stood out to me, at least for the brawl, I do think that we'll be able to play the Fabled cards. I think all the Fabled cards in general are going to be fairly decent in the brawl, with decent varied success. But I think that you'll be able to play any of them that you open. Talanji with Bonswandi, however it's said. I kind of like doing that with an undead focus and running Esho, which is that if all your minions in deck share a type, give all of them +2/+2 wherever they are. There's not a lot that you can do with trying to recur the death rattle other than Memorandum Manifest, which is I think it's bring back your highest cost undead, resurrect it. So I think if we lean into like an Esho and undead route, I think that that's a way to go that is not going to require a lot of new cards. And then I also really like the look of a Frost Death Knight using Memorandum Manifest and Stegadon from the last set to do the death rattle stuff and just ping a bunch of things. We could throw Umbra in there. That both of those look very promising for the brawl, especially if it's just slow enough to get there. If we have super, anything hyper aggro or anything that is running people over like Murlocs did last set, I'm not sure, but I don't see much of that. There's one deck I'm scared of that we'll talk about later.
I think that is Talanji brings back Bosamdi, and Bosamdi gets shuffled back into your deck. There's a lot of opportunity for it, and as long as you get the boons on them, good. Like I think usually you want to try to take, depending on the situation. Obviously, it depends, but Rush is always a good one to pick first because it gives you immediate action on the board when he comes into play, and then as you need, you throw a taunt and you throw the other things on him. But it's a really, really good card. The Memorandum Manifest, that's the one that summons the previous death rattle, right? That's the 9 mana guy, I think, or whatever.
No, it's a new card. The thing that you're thinking about is not in the brawl. The Wakener of Souls or whatever it is, the 9 or 10 mana.
Yeah, I was actually just looking for that. I'm like, does that exist?
That is not.
So
in the brawl.
It exists. So it's not in the brawl. So keep in mind the brawl. So the theoryCrafting meta is different than the brawl meta, which is different week 1 meta because of the. And I like that that's like that because I like that we're going to go into week 1 and not have a solved meta because everyone plays. People are going to be really confident in the decks they played to 5 wins a bunch of times and they'll be like, why isn't this working anymore? Because we have other cards to counteract it. It's. I think that as long as you don't need a lot of Bosandi, you just need to get them up a couple times and get those boons on. I think it's fine. So Memorandum Manifest and Stegadon's really good too. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Frost Death Knight lately, and just having Stegadon. I'm assuming Umbra's available for this brawl, so there's also the potential of that as well to really kind of give you some power there. I think that I think this is very solid. I kind of remember what else does Death Knight do outside of, because I think that's all I played in the theoryCrafting was Bosandi stuff. What else did they get for the set?
There's some leeches, like looking at the card pool, just sort of like like hopping around, just checking out stuff that's legal. Because I honestly, like, I usually wait for VS to come out with like their list of decks to play, and usually they have the nuts at some point. That's happened pretty consistently the last 3 of these. So I was like, oh, I'll wait for them to do that. But then, you pulled me on here and you said this morning, hey, by the way, this is what we're going to be talking about. I was like, oh, I better do some research. All the leech stuff is legal.
Is it?
as well
I thought
as the
that was
really
Dream.
good like half blood, half unholy, swarmy aggro-y stuff. So I see some interesting cards there as far as things that might be legal that we might consider doing. I didn't realize that Core has Frostworm's Fury. Is that for real? Dear God,
Mhm.
they have
Yes.
that in standard right now. No wonder you guys
And no
are
one's
chomping
playing
at the
it.
bit.
Nobody's playing it, but I'm playing it.
Ew, that card is gross. I like that card. That card's wild playable.
So-
I like that card.
I'm
So-
gonna rain on
so
your
what
parade
we've
a
been
little
doing-
bit. The leeches are not legal in the brawl. The leeches
They're
are
not,
Emerald
but
Dream.
I'm looking at
They're from Emerald Dream.
Emerald Dream.
Yeah, that is not in the brawl. It's the new
It's just
set and
Timeways.
Unguro.
Timeways and Unguro.
Yes.
I'm looking back too far. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, in that case, that deeply limits things. Frost aggro looks like the best thing you're going to be doing, probably
Mhm.
for sure.
I think if we can get enough corpse spenders, the new set does have some decent ways to get corpses going. We could possibly play the quest, and it might be okay for the brawl if that's something that you want to play. The tricky thing is there's no new corpse spending cards for it, so I don't think it's going to have enough support.
No one should play that quest. No one should play that quest. That's no.
It's
Bad idea.
I will say, as just a generically strong card, and it's a common blood draw, 3-cost card, Shadow, discover a spell. This costs health instead of mana. I think you're going to be fine spending 3 health to discover a spell in this brawl. You should probably just play that in any of the Death Knight decks that you build for this.
I'm 90% sure I never saw that card once in theoryCrafting.
Really?
The spell pool is going to be really small. Like if it's going to be good, this is like the perfect opportunity for it to be good, right?
Yep. But you mentioned that card, and I mean I remember thinking when we went over it and like when we were reviewing the sets, that's a really good card. I never saw it.
Yeah.
Never.
So
For sure.
yeah. Demon Hunter. So got a few different packages that we can kind of build around. We got the no minion in deck package, which I'm still confused at how we make all this work. I don't know if either of you saw any of it in the theoryCrafting. Excuse me. But it's, I think especially with the limited brawl pool, it's really hard because there's a very limited pool of spells. I think when I was looking, there's only 12 total spells to pick from. And then you have a couple weapons and one location. So it's going to be really hard to build that because you have so few options to pick from. And none of them give you the minions in hand to get the payoff other than the new cards. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. It's there, but it's going to be really tricky to build around. I do like the Dormant Matters cards. I think that we got enough high tempo cards in that could be really good in the brawl, especially cheating out the 8-mana rush. And then, in my opinion, for the brawl especially, I think Broxigar, you're going to need something a little bit draw heavy to make it consistently work. But I think it's good enough in the brawl to just throw in as a card in a Demon Hunter deck and play around with it, because odds are the games are going long enough, you're going to be able to have time to get through the portals. And then a 12-12 charge seems pretty good in a limited format.
I played a lot of Broxigar in the theory. I played quite a bit of Death Knight, or Demon Hunter, in this, especially early on. And I do not think I ever saw. I never generated Broxigar, and I barely ever got enough portals. I got like 2 portals at most, and I'm sure my deck wasn't build optimized for it, but it was just. I never saw him, and
It's tough to
the
ask,
weapon.
man.
Yeah, it is a tough ask, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good, but I think it's it's going to be fun, but there needs to be some automation. I doubt we're going to have that in the brawl. I don't think I think you're going to need all 6 sets to kind of figure out a way to do it. And
Probably.
I didn't see it. Schmoopy, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, people keep wanting to like stick it in a wild deck. We still play Questline Demon Hunter in wild, and it's a very, very good deck. It's usually pushing being one of the best decks in the format to being like at least fringe playable. And people are like, oh, look, 0 mana draw. That's perfect for that. But it's kind of like, does Questline Demon Hunter really want a 2-mana 12/12 that has a bunch of hoops to jump through? Yes, you're making, drawing cards, but like there's 0 mana cards and you don't get them all in your deck at once. And there's just like, there's a lot of ands and ands and ands and ands to that statement. He seems cool. He seems very Timmy, right? Like somebody will do something fun. I don't know how competitive he is though. And like, I think people are just going to get infatuated with the 2-mana 12/12 charge and miss the forest for the trees. This is a really, like you were saying, Pylet, this is a really like weird set to build around. We have like no minion support from like yesteryear, right? We have like Scythe. So like we're going to make some terrible tier 4 42% win rate deck that probably scams aggro somehow and like, be pigs and poop and enjoy ourselves. But like for this, like this pool is too limited. It seems really tough to build a DH deck out of this pile of cards.
Fair. The dormant stuff is going to be really good, though. I think if anything, you're going to be able to take advantage of that and get it's the only thing that really matters in that whole set is you play that 9/4 snake or that whatever the stats of snake for 4 mana, and it's just like, okay, we're good.
It's a 7/9. It's a 7/9
It's
rush.
Crazy stat line.
That costs 4 less if something's dormant. Like
and you get to play good cards on curve. Before you get it out too, right? You like the demon. What do they call them? The wild. They're not wild seeds, but they're like
the dread seeds.
Dread seeds. Right. They're good. Those are good cards. Like like even in my format, when people end up playing them in a deck dedicated to them, like Disco Lock cries when a 5/5 lifesteal taunt wakes up and they have to sort of chunk through it somehow. Like they're legit cards. So like in a little bit of a slower format where like, and I'm also making this crazy tempo right off the top. Like that's kind of what I do.
I just want to say that I think we're actually becoming a real podcast because as we're talking and we're trying to think of the cards that we can't think of the names of, chat is yelling at us the names of things. So I think we've made it.
Yeah, I definitely think, some sort of very high tempo, curve out deck with the dormant cards is probably Demon Hunter's best bet in the brawl. I think you can make some other decks half work, but I wouldn't expect to get consistent high wins with them.
So Schmoopy, as someone in Wild, so this was a standard play, but I was so mad that this didn't work. So I'm sure you take kind of pride in when you do like these weird things that like work and you're like, hey, I just came up with this plan. So I was playing against somebody and they were Incendious and I was playing Quest Demon Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a bunch of things shuffled into my deck. And I thought it was going to be really cool because I'm like, all right, here's the plan. I'm going to play Arana. And so I get damage on my turn. I said the name right, so don't look at me that way, Pylet. And then I was going to play, not Glide. Is it Glide? Whatever the one is that
Paraglide?
If you play an Outcast, Paraglide. It was not Outcast. So I played Arana, and then I played Paraglide, and I drew 2 mana. I made them draw a 2 mana Incendious or Explosions or whatever, and it did damage to me, which reflected to damage to them for the 2 damages, but it did not proc my quest. And I was so pissed because I'm like, I thought that was like a 5-head play because I'm like, no, I'm doing 2 damage on my turn, but it didn't work.
Quest so is your opponent, right? Like this thing, what is this? Deal exactly 2 damage to an enemy on your turn, but that should have
which I
procced for you because you did. Dude, I have said this many a time. I think becoming a lawyer that defends Hearthstone card language is just like probably the fastest way to throw your life away. Like sometimes the way they're worded versus how things are actually coded, like that's like 3 degrees of separation, right? Where like you took the damage, but the minion was up, so it reflected back on the opponent. So like there's a certain, I could see that like not working and breaking down, but at the same time, it's like, it's so niche that no one has probably found it at all except for you ever. So nice.
And I was so mad because I'm like, this is going to be the clip, right? This is going to be awesome. This is going to be like the thing. I'm like, look at the random BS I just figured. I remember the first time as far as the defending the language was in vanilla, where I was confused as to why, even though when I played Leroy Jenkins, and I had a knife juggler on board. It didn't summon things to shoot when it summoned the whelps on their side, but I'm like, but I'm summoning them, so shouldn't it just shoot them because I have the knife juggler? I was kind of mad about that, but it summons on their board. It's like the language is all messed up, right?
Yeah, I think the problem is for the quest requirement, it's written with an understanding that there's supposed to be a you do this, you
Yes.
deal exactly 2 damage. That's not actually written there because the quest reward says whenever you deal, and that means you are doing the card and the action that does the thing. It's
But I did because even though they did damage to me, I don't count that damage. It was the damage reflected from me back to them, which should have counted.
I think it's still consistent with the way that the rules have been, though, for cards.
You're gonna have to go to the appeals court, and you're gonna have to
chill.
You're gonna have to go into DMs with a dev or something like that, and be like, "How does this work? Wait. That used to be Hat, right? Like we used to go to be like, Hat, this happened, and then Hat would tell us why we were stupid. So we're gonna have to find that new point person to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, yep. But it's just always, it's always the worst when you think you have the thing and it doesn't work out. You're like, why didn't this work?
So, Druid is our next class. This is one to where I had a hard time kind of piecing together what cards we'd use together. I think you have some cards that you can just kind of toss into the decks and be okay with. As far as playing multiple of the cards together, I think the bottom of deck stuff is your option for that. This
is easy, Pylet. This is easy. This is you play Druid of Regrowth, you play Highborn Mentor, you play all the cards that we announced 2 weeks ago. Those are the cards you play because those are the good ones.
Yeah.
Yes, Schmoopy.
Can I do a
Question in the
stupid?
back.
How stupid is this? How stupid is it to just say, "F it, we ball," and just play alternate reality?
I like that idea.
I mean, why not?
How good are the choose the choose one cards of the past? Well, there's some real stinkers, but they cost one less. But there are some busted ones too. I feel like I don't know. It's a limited card pool, and it's a slower format you would think, but I'm not convinced that all the aggro is going to be slow. This might be too memey, but it's something I would look at as far as all right, everything is scuffed. People are playing with arena decks. What if I just make my deck the strongest possible arena deck? And you know what? Random choose one cards might be it. I guess you hope they're all Oldham choose one cards and not like Druid of the weird Scarab or Crappy Panther choose one cards.
Well, does this get better once the most recent what set was it? There was a set we just had that every class got to choose one card. Those are not in the past yet. So does this card get better when those choose ones that were in whatever recent set we just had become in the past, and then we have access to all those as well?
Kind of. I don't know if it helps for this brawl, though. I don't know if it helps for this brawl.
No, it definitely doesn't. It doesn't help with the brawl.
Yeah.
So, I, for some reason, can't filter the library for the past how I want to, because even though it's bold like a keyword, I can't choose it as a keyword to filter with on the deck library. So this number is not quite right, but searching for wild cards, which doesn't take out any of the ones that are in standard, it pops up with 82. Now, some of those are cards that interact with choose ones, like the Cenarian Hold location from the wild set that your next choose one card this turn has both. So it's including some of those. So there's probably 65 choose one cards in there. So that's a pretty
and as if you remember,
big amount.
The real play that Pylet that Pizza gave us was you generate Raven Idol, and you used Raven Idol to generate Fandral, and now it's game over.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't hate
Something
these.
like that.
Honestly, the ones that I'm looking at, there's some weird ones like Druid of the Scythe and Druid of the Flame, right? And those are crap. Or Grove Tender. But I don't know. We've got Shandoe, we've got Loti, we've got Chia Drakes.
Drum Circle.
Wait, no, Chia Drake won't matter. Drum Circle. We've got
Rising Winds, solid.
Rising
Very
Winds
good.
is kind of bustado. Do you guys still have Lifebinder's Gift? No, Lifebinder's Gift is legal. Like Riven Idol, as previously stated. A couple of the Treant cards, like these aren't completely unfortunate.
Yeah. I think it's
Given that I
something you
might-
can do. Unfortunately, it's
given
an
that
epic.
given that I'm not opening a bundle of any kind, and I'm just gonna have to go with whatever cards I get in like the little bit, I might have to try that.
This might be a budget option, to be completely honest with you. This might be like not the so like how do you structure this? It doesn't require. You probably do. Is the druid spell that looks for a spell legal?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there's no specific tutor for it, unless there's a minion that draws a spell, but I don't think they have one of those in standard right now. All right, this is more copy than I expected, because like you'd really want like a tutor for it, and then you're like, okay, I always have this every game, so that like your deck doesn't totally crap out on you. Yeah, reforestation is one too far away. Unlucky. The dream dies before it's even born. I don't know. I just like stupid things like this are the kind of things that end up being kind of okay in the brawl, just because
Yes.
things are limited and so scuffed. But that was one thing I was looking at, like, is it Fires as in Najara all over again? I don't know.
So here's the question though, before we move on to we still have more to talk about Druid. Last year it was last brawl, it was what, Dummy Warrior that was everywhere, or Beck Warrior, some kind, or whatever like that. That was like kind of overcame the brawl because it was all old cards and it was still fine.
Yep.
What's that deck going to be this time around, and how do we counteract?
I've got it listed later. On.
Okay, good. Then we will come back.
There's
to that
two
later.
decent. There's two decent options for that, I think. Yeah.
I've got a deck or two that I'm quite scared of running people over with no new cards.
Okay, so we've learned now that the meta, this is how the meta works, is like, hey, everyone wants to play new cards, yet everyone plays this one deck that everyone hates, and it then ruins the brawl for everybody. Yet you'll probably play it anyway because it's how you win packs. So okay, so Druid, what else we got going on Druid?
Yeah, like I said, I think if you're trying to make a package of new cards work, it's the deals with bottom of the deck stuff. Some of it might just be good enough tempo wise that we play it. As far as just generically good cards, I think you just play Lady Ajara in a Druid deck in the brawl, because it's so versatile. You just play her and you're fine with that. And then if it's slow enough, because we don't have access to ramp that I can think of, Highborn Mentor is very, very good if you get to play her. If we can't get to 8 mana, that's a problem. Then we don't play her. But if we're getting to the late game, which we have some armor stuff, we have some survival stuff in Druid, then I was very impressed with how that card played, especially getting the 2 mana pupil to play stuff with.
Yeah, was there anything particularly that you remember about that pupil that comes to mind?
Yeah, your illegal 4 times survival of the fittest or whatever it was.
The very end of the game, the very end of the night, I'm playing against bread and butter favorite Warshak, and it's our last. We were trying to get one more game in so we could then get the one more game of Shaman, because I kept saying, we need to play Shaman again one more time. We never did, because Pylet was only there for an hour or so, and we never got to it. But in the last game against Warshak, I was able to get down the guy that does the double battle cries, end of turn and whatnot. You got to remember, end of turn is a lot of things too, so that's also in Cindy and stuff like that, but that wasn't important. My Highborn Mentor, I generated double Survival of the Fittest, and I was able to play Survival of the Fittest twice. And so I got +4, +4, +4, +4, +4, +4, and +4, +4.
Chrono Lord was
absolutely
down.
Gross.
Pretty nutty.
Yeah, Chrono Lord. It was the highlight of the day, and it was the last game. And Pylet's just like, this isn't right. This is wrong.
It's yeah. I did miss one good card, and this helps with your alternate reality deck. Wave Shaping is tracking.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we just played that also, especially in this limited pool.
I'm also looking at it and just sort of looking around. You do have in core stuff like Living Roots, Vibrant Squirrel, Witchwood Apple. right? So like there's kind of like the and Flipper Friends, you've got like the bones of like that like token druid deck that like might be good. Like I know it sucks in standard, but like you have Ravenous Flock, you do have some support with it. I don't know if the new cards really push it at all, but as far as just like, hey, here's old things that weren't good but are suddenly really good in the brawl.
Yep.
I don't know if it's high enough power level. It seems like a little too slow. The quest has ended up proving, but I know it was one of the cards I had my eye on going into this expansion of being like, hey, this could be kind of cool. This is the weapon's nuts when you get there. It's just really slow. And it's kind of hard to complete the thing.
Yeah, I almost put that as an old deck that you could play because I was having some success with it early in the expansion. It's not going to run any new cards other than maybe wave shaping to find stuff.
Totally.
But you can definitely build that. I also strongly considered if I build something where we're doing bottom of the deck and playing Krona to set the bottom cards to 5, putting Vibrant Swirl in there just to shuffle and then try to get them shuffle the deck and have more times to get it if we're not, if we already have played some of our tracking and contingency and stuff like that, just to shuffle the deck and get to those cards a little bit sooner.
I'm excited for her in Wild specifically because she's 6 mana. It's a bonkers effect. She's got taunt. So it's like you're not even like really like if you drop it's like a 4/7 taunt, right? If you drop a 4/7 taunt on curve for Druid, we already have like 45 mana by that turn. Right. So like you drop her against like some poor aggro's like turn 2. They have a chonk through a 4/7 taunt, but then we also still have aquatic form. We still have Spinley. We have Moonlit Guidance. Like we have ways to go down and go get those cards that we've just discounted. So I expect her to see definitely some play in like something like Reno Druid in my format, but it wouldn't shock me if there was some stupid combo you could do, especially with the reversing the order of your cards elemental that we got, where we could send all our expensive stuff to the bottom. In my format, we can pull Celt and we could put everything expensive up top and then flip it again and put it on the bottom. If you're like, wait, that's 8 mana. Druid has that by turn 2, no big deal. I think there's a lot of stuff, and this is a recurring theme for me. There's a lot of stuff to cook with in this expansion that's a lot more interesting than what we've been getting, where it's like, even if it's not good, it's going to be fun sort of unraveling it for a couple months and maybe coming up with a nice, shiny tier 3.5 darling or something.
Well, how much is Dredge going to really play into this? Because this feels like it dives right into Dredge if you have the opportunity there.
Oh, 100%. Like, that's why, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got aquatic form to dredge up anything that we miss, or we can Finley and go grab it. Like, we can leverage this effect a lot more effectively in Wild, I feel like. So to me, this looks nuts, but it is 6 mana. So there's a lot of people who also look at this card and we're like, it's too slow. And you already are having 1 billion mana by turn 4 in Druid. And it's like, that's like I guess a fair thought, but I don't know. I feel like my gut tells me we're going to leverage this somehow.
I think so moving on to the generically good cards, Lydia Jara, which I think is great to have. I think she's a really powerful card. I think she's going to be misplayed a lot because I think a lot of people, because the whole thing is you have to pick one to destroy one to empower the other, but that doesn't mean you can't play both of them and get value for both of them. So I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I can play it and I can get value out of it, and then I do this, and they're not going to do things fast enough in order to take advantage of it, and they're going to be like, oh wait, why did I lose? Because I didn't empower the card and do the things. Schmoopy, you have a question.
The person you just described is me, because I'm looking at this card and I am too damn stupid to figure out what the hell it does. I'm going to wait for some smart standard player to figure out how to play her properly, and then I'm going to pay attention for like the 2.5 minutes that my attention span actually works, and then I'm going to figure out how to put it in a Wild deck. All right, that's what I'm going to do, because like I honestly, like, reading the card when she came out, I was just like, all right, real cool. Yeah. And especially the way that the cards were presented and the fable, it wasn't always super clean which cards were standalone cards, which cards are fabled cards, like this one in particular, the way it was presented, the way that I'm trying to figure out how it works, like it's unintelligible to me. So Tito, if you know, awesome. I will watch you play it, presumably, or someone else, and
No,
and
me.
and until then, I'll be the drooling, howling monkey that doesn't know how to play Lady Azara and will misplay her every turn I get.
So actually, aside from watching me, which is your best choice, your second best choice, I already saw was McBannerface, who played this along with Elise and had all the copies. And the entire concept was playing the minion that playing the one Protoss spell. I think that's all they had, but they got the 3/4 with taunt. I mean 3/4 with rush.
Charge.
Excuse me, charge. And then they copy it and they copy it and they copy it and they double the stats and they double the stats and copy it and then you get like multiples. And I that was a game I won that I was very excited about, but like I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? It's going to be ugly when this gets refined and whatnot.
We also saw that where someone was doing that, but with Dread Corsair, which
Yes.
if you are a normal person and forgot what that card is, that is a 6 mana 6/6 pirate. If this did not start in your deck, it has charge. The copies have charge. The original does not, but if you make a copy, it did not start in your deck. So they, buffed it up with the location and summoned. They copied the location with Scrapbooking Student and then did multiple copies and then hit us in the face for a lot.
Not that card's first prime, by the way. Not that card's first prime, by the way.
So, but the whole concept is when you empower one of the new locations, it doubles the doubles the power of the minion you copy.
Yep.
And then you use the Elise location to copy the copy. So then instead of having 6/6, you have a 12/12 plus another 12/12 and whatnot. So that is what was the grossness. And same thing with the Protoss, and plus there were other things that were happening alongside of it. Yeah, gross. Don't do it.
Yeah,
it's evil. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So, if you're wanting to prevent people from doing that, Hunter might be a class to do that because Face Hunter got a lot of support this set. I am very excited to play a Face Hunter deck that actually has some draw again and isn't reliant on playing like the one or two cards that we can fit into Beast Hunter that have draw. We have the empty hand package that they put in there to where if you have 3 or less cards or draw till you have 3 and things like that. I think that that's going to be strong enough and good enough for standard, which means it will probably be really good in the brawl. And then for the brawl, we would also have access to tracking and quick shot, which both feel like they fit very well into that. If we need more, you could possibly lean into Beast for your minions and then go with Master's Call because all of the cards in this package for the new set are Beasts for the most part, other than the 1-drop Queldori Fletcher, which is the 1 mana 1/1, hero power cost 0 while your hand has 3 or less cards. The other cards that we would play from that package are Beasts. However, that's probably not the way to go because we're probably still playing Sylvanas in this deck. I'm not sure what Hunter deck in the Brawl isn't going to play Sylvanas. I think that all the Fabled cards from that are just good enough. You're just going to toss her in any of the decks. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure if there's many Hunter decks that aren't like hyper focused on a certain game plan that will just play Sylvanas.
You do have to pay attention if you're playing Quest and you run Sylvanas, because if you run the one that gives your minions +1/+1, then you just screwed yourself. Now, if you play
that's the
exception. You have to be wary of that.
Yeah, like that.
But you can still.
That's a focused game plan to where you're not going to play Sylvanas there, I don't think.
No, you can. You just can't play that sister that gives everything +1/+1 until you play one of the other sisters that starts it off. So then she'll give things +2/+2.
And you've already played your one attack beast.
Of course, and you've already played your one attack beast.
So don't kill your own quest.
So I realized this.
Don't drink.
So the very first things I started with, no, absolutely drinking Quest Hunter. But the very first thing I did was I built a Quest Hunter. Was the first deck I built in theoryCrafting, and I threw Sylvanas in there. And then I realized I'm like, I can't play this card because this is going to screw everything up what I do. And then it was funny because I played the draw two discard one that you get, or draw three discard two from the Rifta that you get from your opponent, and it discarded two of the three Ranger General cards. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not playing those. But yeah, don't do that. You can probably put them in there because all you have to do is make sure that you play that card second and not first. And maybe by the time you get through your quest, it doesn't matter, but you do have to be wary of that because that can really screw you. 100 feels good.
Yeah, the Hunter quest, like that. Honestly, I was again like just flipping through as you said, Hunter. I started flipping through. I'm just like, don't you have just everything you need for Quest Hunter here? So like that seems like a solid option. Yeah,
pretty much. There's enough beasts in the new set that it replaces the decent ones that we would have played before.
And Ankylodon's still there from the previous mini set and whatnot. You have the options for Quest Hunter. You're doing pretty good. Smarms was playing. Send Me Your Arms was playing a lot of Quest Hunter and doing really, really well with it. Sidisi was apparently too busy in the Bahamas or something like that on vacation, enjoying real life. But I think he's going to be pretty happy with the expansion. Same with Ron. I think they're going to have things to do and be happy about it.
Yeah. For Mage, the dragons seem a little bit awkward. I had a hard time figuring out if we could survive to play this stuff. If we can, we have some pretty big swings. But everything else is very RNG heavy as well, because it's a lot of get two random spells, get this, get that, and it's one of those things to where it's really hard to evaluate, especially in this limited format. I'm going to play it because I'm a sucker for this kind of deck, but I don't know if I'm going to be posting a 6-win screenshot of the deck.
So, guys, Schmoop.
No, so as somebody who has, at time of recording, 5,381 Mage wins, a fair number of that with some sort of Reno, just some sort of casino discover BS. The thing about Mage discovers that's a little bit different than other discovers is those discovers either usually come with some form of mana cheat, or they are low costed and they are applicable, like somehow useful in some way, and you can play them for cheap. I'm like doing a quick little survey of the kind of spells that we'd be looking. There's no, like, we can get like primordial glyphs, which seem kind of stupid. The secrets are going to be obnoxious. Cheap Firelands portals are good. Cheap flame strikes for getting out of trouble seem pretty okay. Frost bolts for sneaky lethals. Like, and we've also got those the haymaker spells. Lost City gave us, what is it? Relic of Kings, which I wonder what's in the Relic of Kings pool for like the entire spell, since it is going to be a little bit more limited, right?
It's a fantastic question. I'll see if I can figure that out, because
and that's why I remember that happened last brawl too. Is we had very little. Didn't that just get you Shaladrisil in most classes or something like that? There was
Devil Sword Mask, Hero's Welcome, Story of Amara, Story of Lakari, Guard Duty. Like, you've got some bombs. So like it feels to me, at least from an outside perspective, like Discover Mage has its bones intact to still do the stupid and still have these really big late game turns, while also having some gas to kind of discover enough tools to keep the opponent off balance and away from your face until you get to the place where you can play your weapon and go ham. So like, I don't know, you guys can feel free to correct me on that, but like that, my gut tells me that seems like that's going to be a pretty decent deck in the brawl.
This one feels backwards to me. Is a lot of times we say, hey, this might be not good in the brawl because you don't have everything you need, but like once you get to the general meta, it's going to be better because you have more tools. The Mage during the theory crafting to me felt really bad. It just didn't feel like it felt too slow. It felt clunky. Maybe in the brawl, you might have a little bit more of an advantage given the limited spell pool and whatnot. But I think that this is one of those ones that's going to be maybe good on the brawl and then crappy once we get into the actual meta. So I think this is like a different kind of a version of that. So I want this deck to be good. I really, really do. I think I like the concept of it. I like bringing back all the dragons and all that. But it just felt so bad during the theory crafting that I'm worried that it's not going to be good. But it might be good in the brawl.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to evaluate is because since the dragons are reliant on the um, arcane cards, trying to figure out exactly what all that pool
Yeah.
looks like. That's where it's a little bit awkward, and that pool is very, very all over the place. As far as Relic of Kings, I think you said all the cards that are available. There'll be 5 cards available for Relic of Kings in the brawl.
And they're like okay hits. I think
they are. There's a little bit of awkwardness with a couple things that. Well, I guess nope. I misread one. Never mind. I thought there was 2 cards that filled your board. Um, so the most awkward one will be if you don't choose Devil Sword Mask, if it gives your opponent an 8/8 minion instead of your own, because that doesn't say friendly. The other ones say Bat Mask says friendly minion. Devil Sword Mask just says minion. So
you might be able
y'all
to
got your own risk.
You might be able to if you're lucky, you might be able to well no, you don't want it actually. I was gonna say you could bat mask. You want to bat mask into Devil Sword because you don't want to take your 8/8 and turn it into a 1/1 with charge. That would be really sad. But that might
Well yeah. And that Relic of Kings, it's 7, and then the one that you choose costs 1. So if by the time we're getting to that, we can probably do both of those in the same turn. Most likely fill your board with 1/1s and then make one of them an 8/8 with charge. So there's options there. I think the Quest Mage is one of the ones I was looking at as an option for an older deck that you could definitely play. Really, the Elemental Mage doesn't look that bad either because we got some Elemental support last set. We have a couple decent ones this set. I think if you just want to play something very straightforward, I would go with Elemental Mage as an option, and normally that's a pretty cheap deck as well to play.
Schmoopy, you don't look sold on Elemental Mage.
So I play a lot of Elemental Mage and Wild actually because we still have Inferno Herald and we have some very silly 0 mana fire spells. So like we get some really crazy pop offs. It's a cheap deck. It's 1600 dust flat. So like if you want like a legend viable competitive deck, I think I said it last time I was on here. It's not expensive to compete in Wild. It's expensive to meme and to play variety. This is a neat deck where like you can kind of like have these kind of crazy board floods and experience a little bit of RNG along the way and still pop off. The 2 big pop offs are Inferno Herald and Windswept Page Turner. Like maybe Windswept Page Turner is good enough, but I feel like we're losing like a lot of the really important Elemental Mage spells and a lot of the Elemental Mage draw. Like the what's it, the 3 mana 3/1 that draws 3 cards, or like just a couple of other like the straws that are stirring the drink. I don't Pauper. There's a Pauper community right now. There's a bunch of guys running around with neckbeards that are building decks with only commons. And I'm also have a neckbeard and I'm also considering it. So one of the things they say that is the reason why Elemental Mage is struggling in Pauper right now is because it doesn't quite have the draw to support it. I don't know if I see that draw in here now or enough payoffs either on top of that. It can have some crazy turns in Pauper. Again, that's like Wild commons only, but a lot of the really good draw cards are rares, and just I don't know. I don't quite see it.
That's fair. For Paladin, we if you're looking at playing the Fabled with the auras, the only card that we're missing that we'd probably want for that deck is the Cardboard Golem to increase the turns, but all the auras are available through Corset, I believe. There might be one aura that you can't play, but I can't think of what it is. Oh, Celestial Aura, which I don't think you're wanting to play as much anyways in this deck because you're hoping to get a couple different minions on board anyway, so it doesn't do anything. But you have all of those, and then probably throwing in a little bit of control to get there. I really like some of the look of like there's some holy spell and there's some minions that give divine shield. So there's a new minion that gives your hero divine shield or something like that and heals it. So I can't remember what the name of it is because I'm still finding the paladin cards in the library. Hard light protector, 2 mana, 2/1 mech divine shield. Battlecry, restore 3 health to your hero and give them divine shield. That seems just fine in a deck that's trying to get to the late game for auras. And then I also like the look of running some sort of tempo and buff style deck. The location seems bonkers in this format, especially since it only costs 2. Gesterlock and Hourglass Attendant are both neutrals. Gesterlock buffs your board by +1 health at the end of turn. Hourglass Attendant gives your hand +1/+1 end of turn. So if we're running some sort of buff, hand buff or buff paladin, that's fine. I think PMM Infinitizer is going to be fine in the brawl. It probably won't be as strong as standard, but that is the one where it sets a minion stats to 8/8 and it can't attack heroes this turn. So it's Blessing of Authority on a stick. And Blessing of Authority saw play when it was in standard. It was a 5 mana spell. This is a 6 mana 4/4. And I think that this has just as much opportunity to see play in a limited format, but we'll probably fall off once we get to standard. And then the Fins Beyond Time, I think we'll see a lot of play in this brawl for people who open it just as pseudo draw hand refill from whatever you started with. That's the legendary that replace your hand with your starting hand, swap back up at the end of turn. If we're light on draw in the brawl, then this is something that we play to replace it.
As someone with 4,358 paladin wins, I've enjoyed the Aura Paladin. That was a lot of fun. I didn't play much of the aggro version of the Paladin because I figured, I've seen enough Arena Paladin at this point to not really care.
How does that deck look in the brawl? That sort of arena, that little like, let me make a bunch of little crappers and just spread them all over the field and then scam with Crusader's Aura. How does that look for the brawl?
I didn't see it in the theory crafting, but I think in the brawl it's going to be fine. Gaichu, do we have Crusader Aura?
We do have Crusader Aura because that is core. The big card that would be missing from that would be Flash Sale.
No Flash Sale,
and the minions only half matter because you're just playing little whatever, cheap minions, so you can find plenty of those in whatever set. We're missing Flash Sale for that board buff, but I'm looking to see if we have anything else, and I clicked the wrong button. So I'll keep looking while you talk about stuff.
I mean, the auras just felt good, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you could even work the aura, the Fable. Even in the Arena Paladin, you might be able to work the auras in just to, kind of fortify it. Like getting that dragon every turn is pretty good, and if you can get that to like create a minion and also kind of protect your little minions, I don't see that as a problem. Plus the I forget how much it costs, but there's the one if you have an aura do 3 damage to all enemy minions. That was a really good,
pretty decent. I think the location would be good in that kind of deck, right? The location's kind of bonkers. Yeah. Like the location is like, I think the location's going to see wild play because it's just kind of like it does so much. It keeps adding words and keeps adding words and keeps adding words, and those cards tend to be like, as long as they're not conditional, they tend to be good.
Yeah, that's probably a really pretty good option. Just kind of like a zoo paladin kind of thing. Just cheap.
Right. No new cards. Just like throw whatever you got on a board. Add a couple Crusaders Aura. Bet we're good to go. Like what we have muster for battle still. That's in core. Like we've got some silly things that we can do. So I think that's another thing that I was going to keep my eye on as far as like a decent idea.
And that's a really good strategy, right? Just in general, if like you have something that like everyone in this brawl is going to want to play the new cards and do the fun things and do the things. And if you just like if it's turn 4 and they have 10 health left and hey, look here's the first new card I get to play, you're dead. So if your goal is to have fun and get packs, you can do it other ways. But if your goal is just like I need to get as many packs as possible, you probably can just find some kind of zoo paladin, zoo something, and just push damage early and win.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the Flood Paladin being the fun killer for the brawl, mainly just because it's been good for pretty much this entire set for standard, and hardly anyone is playing it. One, just because you run into 2 Death Knights in a row, and it's just you're so miserable, you just delete the deck, like I did multiple times, and like I'm about to do with aggro Demon Hunter, because that's what I was playing right before we recorded, and I kept running into Death Knights that just made me question all my choices for the deck. But it hasn't been popular when it's been good enough here. I don't know if people are going to pick it up for the brawl, but it's definitely an option.
But that's one of those decks that, as long as you're paying attention, you can beat very easily. All you have to, you say, oh, hey, look, they played a card that no one would play outside of that deck. And you say, okay, all I have to do is make sure that I keep them off the board until I get a taunt down, and then I win.
You can, until you're trying to make the fun new memes work and you don't have cards that deal with anything on the board because you're focused on just doing the funny thing.
Hey, you just play Reform, you win.
So
we haven't talked to Warlock yet, have we? Never mind.
No, we have not.
We'll get there.
So Priest, from what I heard, it sounded like the hand buff Priest stuff did better than a lot of people were expecting. People are having a lot of fun with that. It's a really weird set of cards, but it's a very flexible set of cards. And at the entire time I was looking through the preset, it's hard for me to pick like, oh, this is a deck you build, just because there's a lot of utility in this set. It's a lot of, you don't have to run all the hand buff cards together. You don't have to run all the control cards together. You can really mix and match the cards. I think Control Priest has a chance with Medivh. We have Conflux that kills a minion. I believe that's a 3 mana. Nope, that's the wrong card. What is Conflux? Conflux is a location to where if we're getting to the late game, it gets really good. We have the 3 mana Cease to Exist, Rewind, Silence, and Destroy a random enemy minion. I think that's going to be just fine in this format. I really think Priest has a good shot to any of the cards that you can open. You can find a way to put them into a deck.
You might generically just run Disciple of the Dove as just like an Alliance Banana Man, right? Like you just throw it in there.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, this is going to draw a minion, whether that's a minion that you want, and like you cater your whole deck around to like this being kind of like another Xavius, where like you're going to have limited hits that you really, really want. Whether you're doing that or whether you're just like, oh, I don't know, I've got like a little curve pile and I'm just going to throw this in there, and any minions in my hand are going to get buffed +2 health. That's not a bad thing. Like that seems like like you said, just a yes and like just generic decent card.
Yeah.
The preset feels really, really good, I think, and just generically good. I think there's going to be a lot of things you can do with it, and I don't know. I'm too dumb to know what you do with it. I'm not really a priest player if it's not purple, but yeah, it seems really good. In fact, what I wanted to mention when we get to priest is I had an interaction with Tic Tac, the notable priest player, because I was kind of annoyed with him that during theory crafting he was running Dirty Rat. And it's like, because he didn't want to play against Reforms, it's like, but the entire point of theory crafting is to highlight kind of things. We had a nice little back and forth, a nice little civil back and forth on Twitter. And, he was good to talk to. He's a smart guy. And it was nice to be able to talk to somebody with contrary positions and just be polite and adult about it. And that's kind of rare on Twitter. So I want to thank him for that, because it was interesting. And it was a good talk, and I see where he's coming from, but also I was like, hey, maybe we should kind of think about that. So I don't know. It was interesting. Dirty Rat, do we have the whole core set? Do you play Dirty Rat in this brawl?
Sure.
Yeah, core sets. All core
to
set.
your peril.
So but if you start seeing a lot of Reform every other game, then
you're not going to see a lot of Reform. You're not going to see.
Oh, yes, you are, because, you're going to see Reform, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but you are going to see a lot of Reform. I can almost promise you.
People are going to be playing Reform in this. Whether it's good or not is a totally different question.
That's a good point.
Those two questions are on opposite ends of the spectrum here.
No, but they're not, because okay, so you think of Reform and you think, hey, and I know we're jumping the gun where that's like 4 classes from now, but you think Reform, you're like, hey, the win condition is you kill them with you play all 10 cards, and Dirty Rat ruins that, right? No, because Yes. Does it ruin the final win condition? Yes. 1 through 10 Reform, they're all good cards.
They are all decent cards.
Like,
Yeah,
they
are.
do good things.
Solid.
So it's not like you're playing gimped cards in order to get to this weird win condition. They're all solid cards. So if they dirty rat one of your cards and you're like, oh, I can't do the Mechathune at the end, who cares? You just still win because you still have the opportunity to win because you have other opportunities with that deck to do things. And I'm jumping the gun, I apologize. But like, yeah, I would almost guarantee you we're going to see a lot of Reform because if you draw a Reform, that's deck in itself, pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough.
You just put Explodinators in it and still win.
Yeah. So I'm still looking at the priest set, and it's hurting my soul how excited I am for some of these priest cards that don't say damage. Like, just looking at all the hand buff stuff and being like, yeah, we'll buff up our hand. We can use Amber Priestess. If we buffed it once, that's 2 mana, 1/6 heal for 6. Taunt. Like, that's just insane. Like, there's a lot of potential. And then
don't even buff
after
it.
you've what?
Just play it for 2. You heal for 4.
Just play it, and then okay, I've done all this hand buffing stuff. You haven't killed me because I played. Yeah, I've hand buffed twice, and now I've healed for 8. And oh yeah, now I'm gonna play a 5-mana card that makes all these 8/8s in my hand with Divine Augur. Battlecry set the attack and health of every minion in your hand to the higher the 2 stats, and now I just have a bunch of big overstatted minions to hit you in the face with. Like, I'm excited for this preset, and that I've been listening to Wicked Good too much apparently.
Well, I'm also kind of excited, but this is the first set. I honestly think this is the first set I've ever gone into after playing a lot of Control, because I played a lot of Control this last meta, and it was weird for me, and I'm confused, and I feel kind of dirty, but at the same point, I'm kind of excited. So I probably will play a lot of the Priests because I spent most of this last expansion playing Leech Death Knight. So I become everything I hate, and that's okay. So I think Priest has got a really, really good set. I think it's going to be pretty good. And so what do we think about the one thing I didn't see? I realized I just was going to ask. I'm like, what is the Priest Fabled? Because I did not see it. I don't think I saw it once in the entire
it's
Brawl.
cool.
It's cool, but it costs 10.
We can change that. Well, not in this Brawl, but like that is optional. That is optional.
Yes.
No, because it's a perils card. I was going to say there are ways to cheat the weapon out, and if you cheat the weapon out and have the other 2 cards in hand, you can kind of play it all on. If you control Pirate turn 6 in my format, turn 7 unconditionally. You can also do some goofy stuff like pull Kelton to let's do the minion immediately afterwards that makes the nest card your top deck like a 1 cost, and so now you've got like a 1 cost version of one of the cards, and then you're playing them all on turn 7. Like there's ways to do it. It's going to get some leverage, but just how do you actually win once he hits the ground? I think it's really the bigger deal, right? Like you can blow up everything. You've got a 7/7. Okay, nutty tempo. Now you're making 2 8/8s. Okay, more tempo. And then you're doing what with the staff? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what you guys have access to that deals damage.
I will say that as far as Priest goes, and this is not necessarily dependent on the Brawl because I don't believe we have access to Zarimi in the Brawl, but that deck, the Zarimi Priest that everyone's worried about, I don't think we're going to worry about because it is not easy to pull off. Like there are ways to do it, and if they find a way to do it consistently, and what we're talking about is you need to get Zarimi and you need to get the minion that sets its battle cry, sets its attack to infinity next turn, and you need to have them both at the same time, and whatnot. It can be done. It's not easy, and it's going to be. If people find a streamlined way of doing it, there would be a problem, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I know I'm going to try to play it. I had fun with it. Yes, Schmoopydaddy in the back. Question.
I'm sorry. I just as a just I can't help myself because I shit post constantly. Is this the only format where past conflux is remotely playable? This is the Priest location. It's 7 mana, summon a random dragon that costs 5 or more, advance to the present. Right. And so like it goes from like, oh, you discover the dragon and you summon it. And then it's discover the dragon and also get a copy of it. But like looking at this, it's like, this is unplayable in an arena setting. I don't see how this is remotely playable in a constructed setting. But like, is this it? Is this brawl it? Is this its one chance to shine? 7 mana, we might get a hold on, pause. We might get a slag claw, poggers. Like, is this the nuts?
Yeah, no, I think you need Zorimi for this to work, really. Because otherwise,
it's comically bad. I don't like, this is I think the one card in the set that I'm looking at that I'm just like, what were they thinking? Like, did they make it and they made it too good? They're like, oh no, we can't make it this good. And then just like they forgot to like to fine tune it to playability. Like this is the hashtag unplayable epic of the set. It's incredible.
This is Rhycleaver. This is Black Rock and Roll. This is the, like, I can make this work. There's a way I can make this work. I'm going to make it work. Look, I can almost make it work. It's almost there. Look, I got it to work once. Oh, I can definitely do it again.
Rhycleaver doesn't work. It's that kind of
card.
Tito.
It's a Timmy card.
Rhycleaver doesn't work. Friends don't let friends play big warrior. Okay, it doesn't work. And this doesn't work either.
See, here is where you're mistaken, because Tito is using it to play big hunter with the tourists.
Oh God! Oh, never mind. You have other problems. I can't help you.
I've won CCLS matches with the Rhycleaver Hunter, so I will have you know that in competitive format, I've won with In fact, I had a matchup where I've won it because they banned my priest, and the priest I was playing was Explodinator Priest. And yes, the entire goal was in standard to bring back to play resuscitate. What is it? What's the spell that brings back everything back?
Sure, that's
right. Resuscitate. So I had taunts. I had the Explodinator behind it, and I kept bringing it back with things like that, and just kind of kept trying to put bombs in their decks. And that deck got banned over the Rhycleaver Hunter, and the Rhycleaver Hunter won.
Incredible.
Multiple times. I've won more than one game in multiple series.
Incredible.
With it. And it is bad because it enables me to do stupid things more often.
So, I'm sorry moving on from that. Yeah, Priest looks fun. For Rogue.
Yes.
Going to start with what I am more confident in, and that is there's a lot of combo keyword cards here. I think all those, if we're playing, if we're getting coins, which the only way that we have, I think, in the Brawl is the new legendary minion, which is a very questionable way to do that at best. I think that's the only coin generator that we have available. Other than there's a neutral for a 4-mana 3/4 neutral at the end of each player's turn. They get a coin, so you're guaranteed to get a coin. And then if your opponent doesn't kill it, they get a coin, but then you have a 3/4 to hit them with. So that's an option. Prep is available though, and Prep with the 7-mana spell is very, very good. Which I'm looking for the name of it because I've been looking through other cards. I'm doing great podcasting tonight because I keep closing the minion.
It's like assassination or something. It's like
dethrone. 7-mana destroy minion combo, summon a random 8-cost minion. That for 5 seems really, really good. That's something that I would want to do.
I guess they designed it with the prep priced in, right? Like that's the problem with the card. It's like they definitely are like, well, you're not paying 7 mana for this, and it's like, all right, fine,
correct,
thanks, guys.
No, in fact, you're barely paying anything for it because you do it into the treasure that you give them from the other thing, so you get a handful of coins back, and then you play a lot of other things. It is.
We already said that was questionable.
It is. Yes, but you do it with this combination of things, and then you win, right? It's profit.
Wishing well is not legal, right? We don't have wishing well.
No, it is not. Wishing well is wild.
It's not legal.
I would be playing so much wishing well right now if I could, because I don't want to play anything else in standard. The problem with your plan, Tito, of getting all the coins is, okay, you play a 5-mana 4/6. What do you have that's going to kill 8 health on this treasure chest that you wouldn't just be doing instead?
You got the combo destroy an random enemy minion.
No, you don't.
Okay, fine.
You have
Is
Dethrone, the
that
card
on
that you're
Brawl?
Not
wanting
with
to
that
cheat
attitude.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, dubious purchase is not available. Assassinate is. Are we playing Assassinate? Like, there's a lot
apparently.
of hoops to jump through for that. But I do think a lot of the other combo related cards are a lot better. I like, oh goodness. I don't know what deck we're being sent. Yes, wishing
Ignore
well.
me.
Okay. So fast forward. I think we need to discount it for it to be good, but I do think that preloading, getting a prep loaded on a card and you getting to choose which one of the two it is, I think is good enough. Flashback I really like in the Brawl. Especially if we can combo it. It's a lot of, if we have things that enable the combo effects for the Brawl is where I'm more concerned about, but I do think that the combo effects are decent. We have a lot of stuff where we're looking at or copying things from the opponent. Deja Vu is just going to be a really good card in this Brawl. Deja Vu is just a card that you play, I think, in Rogue, if you have it opened. And then if you are like Tito and trying to make Corona work, then you play it in a burn deck. You play only one other, legendary minion if you have to. You probably play like Mage Thanos or something just for draw and for spell damage. You play damage spells. You play things like Sinister Strike isn't in, but Eviscerate is. You can play weapon buffs with deadly poison, and then you force them to draw Garona and the other half
King Lane.
Thank you. Play Garona, and then you play all the damage spells and hope that it's enough. So if that's what you're wanting to do, I think that that's a way that you play the deck. If you're playing it in something, if you look at the card and you're like, oh, it costs 4, I have to do all these things to get there, I'm going to play this in more mid-rangey style deck. No, play it in a burn deck. That's the only place that it's going to work, and that's still like a 25% chance, I think. But I think that that's your best option.
This is going to be Quest Rogue's time to shine. This Brawl.
Maybe.
No?
Probably not.
No, absolutely not. I'm going to do it anyway, but no, absolutely not.
No, because we don't even get the card they added from the last Brawl to make Quest Rogue work. We don't get the espionage.
Friends don't let friends play Quest Rogue. It's just not. It's not.
I've run into more Quest Rogue on ladder recently than I have in a while. I don't get it. It's not a good deck. It's fun. It's one of those. It's just one of those decks you want to work, right? You really just want it to work, and it's like it's a different way to play Rogue. It's interesting. It just doesn't get there. No, I don't know what's going to happen with Rogue. Like I agree with you. Deja Vu is a good card. I don't think Corona is the way to go. It might work in the Brawl because of just how limited the format is, but is not good. The treasure guy is not very good.
No.
Yeah, no. It's fun, and I bet you somebody figures it out. I bet you there'll be trolled in clips, but outside of that, I don't know. I don't know what we have in Rogue that's going to be good enough with just the limited pool we have. I don't think Rogue is the way to go in this Brawl, if I'm being honest. Unless you're like a top 100 player. Yeah, I would kind of probably steer away
from it. There's not enough of the aggro stuff to make me stand up and be like, oh, this is what we do at Rogue. Like, there's some like thiefy stuff in the core. Like, the core is very thiefy, right? And like, we get some time ways support for the thiefy stuff. But like, you're basically getting Cultist Map and Murex.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess you kind of try to make Thief Rogue and you try to make Thief Rogue work. That sounds suspect.
If you can't decide what you want to play Thief Rogue and then just play whatever your opponent's playing, and then you get to try everything else out. And then you get to decide on a deck to play.
Yeah,
I think that's the plan.
That's pretty close to like what, like if you're gonna do something in the Brawl with Rogue, like that's pretty much it. It's like I think you just try to outvalue the opponent by replacing the cards you put on purpose in your deck with other ones that aren't there on purpose.
I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna
So
call
if
it
you,
taste test rogue. We're just gonna taste test every other
So
class.
if you play rogue against a warlock and you somehow generate every version of Rafam and then you play the 10th Rafam, do you win?
Yeah.
Or do you have to have that card starting in your
No.
deck?
No, it doesn't say start in your deck. It just says
Play
if
each
you
one.
played all of them.
Easy.
That has to be an achievement.
It is one.
Win with Rafam.
Is it in the game on purpose? I hope not. But like it is one. To have done it.
Yeah.
Cherish that replay forever. World's first.
Just hope you're recording at the time.
So moving on from that, Shaman has a really strong set also. I think Shaman and Priest are right up there for the two strongest sets, like class sets.
I feel like Shaman, the kind of like nature shaman stuff, I think is really good, but I think it's very hard to play right. I think it's going to not. It's not just. I don't feel like it's. I think it's not low skill cap. I think there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and you have to kind of know what you're doing in order to execute that properly.
That's fair, but
keep Muradin in the mulligan. Don't draw the weapon. Play him. Seems like a decent, just sort of generic shaman-y game plan.
Yes.
That card seemed bananas to me. Absolutely busted.
No, banana was in the hunter. We didn't talk about it, but you get a banana.
Yes.
But no, I agree with you. That card is really good, but I'm talking more about the just general plan of shaman with like the nature spells and the Farseer Wu, which is a really, really good card, honestly. I think that's one of the quietest. From when I played in the brawl, theoryCrafting, that to me seemed like the strongest card that I've seen out of everything is the Farseer Wu. But it's hard to kill, and it just generates so much value. But with all the spells and the way you have to like hit your own things for damage, but do other things, I felt like that was very complicated and interesting. And I think it's going to be one of those ones that is going to be a deck that is like a tier 1 deck in the top 200 legend, and it's going to be a tier 47 deck in diamond, and people are going to think that it's one of those decks. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it felt to me.
So I have a simple solution for that. You just take out the complicated cards. You don't play Stormrook or Flux, and you just hit them in the face with damage. Just play. Fair. Yeah, it's like I look at this and it reminds me so much of the Darkmoon Fair set where we had like Storm Strike and was it Inara that gave your hero +2 attack and Wind Fury. Like this set reminds me a lot of that. I think we just do a lot of damage with Shaman and hit him in the face, and that's something I'm up for. And then you can play Stormrook and Flux to do shenanigans with if you're damaging your own minions with the nature spells. I think that those cards are good. I don't know if they belong in that deck though. I don't know if there's enough, because you've got a couple spells that do it, but then you're really taking up a lot of deck slots for those cards and relying on having all of them. The only card I see from this set that doesn't have a home is the instant multiverse, the 6 mana overload 3 summon 12 mana's worth of minions. So it's a fun card, it's a funny card, but that's the only one that doesn't have like a home.
It's a decent amount of value. It's just like a stat dump, right? Like top end to an aggro deck, maybe. Like, well, I'm not using all my mana anyway. They've cleared my board every turn. Screw it. Let me just print a couple boards real quick. Like,
yeah.
That would be an amazing card if like it factored in like how much, like if you had 5 deck slots or 5 slots already filled on your board and you played it, and then it filled the last 2 with big minions because it did the math. But I don't think it does that. I think it just kind of keeps going until like, hey, this is a 2 minions, 3 minions, whatever. I think it figures that out as it goes. But if it factored in the amount of space you had left, which I didn't see this card played in the brawl in the theoryCrafting, so I don't know.
I played it.
Yeah,
but I think. And did you get any math out of it? Did you get any science?
No, I was busy posting duck, spam,
Juice.
duck, this, duck, if, duck, you, duck, want, duck, to, duck, see, duck, more, ducks.
I don't understand.
Don't worry about it. It's just, if I read the pasta literally, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like to poor May when I post it and her screen reader reads it at 5 billion words per second. And I'm an audio terrorist. And so I'm not allowed to post that in her chat anymore because it's a little too distracting.
That seems like a fair ban. But yeah, Shaman's got a really, really good set. I'm excited for Shaman. If you're wanting to play an old Shaman deck, I think that the Quest is probably a decent option. We did get a handful of solid multi-type, multi-minion type cards in this set that you could make work if you're not opening a lot of packs beforehand.
Nice.
So, Warlock. We've already talked a lot about Rafam. I think we have enough control tools to get there. And like we talked about, each individual Rafam, I think, is good enough on its own. It has a lot more tempo than I thought that would. I thought that we'd be losing a lot more tempo playing each individual Rafam. And then, Tito, as you were playing, I'm like, these are just solid cards on their own because you're going to have, the other Rafams to make that if you control another Rafam or if you have a Rafam in hand, you're just going to have them anyways. I think that that's going to be fine if it works in the brawl well enough. Depends on what other things are popular, I think. But not having something like Quest Paladin that's just going to run it over, I think helps. But I think Rafam is solid for the brawl. I think it's going to fall in a decent spot in standard. The aggressive, deck with Shreds of Time. We have the cards where it shuffles in a shred of time, which is a 0 mana, cast when drawn, deal 3 damage, I think, to your hero. Those cards look like they're a lot of fun. I think we have enough support to make something aggressive work. And normally in these limited formats, aggressive stuff normally finds a home pretty quickly. And then I was looking at the pool for diversions. If you are that kind of card gamer, that is the 5 mana shadow spell, split a random minion in your hand into 2 halves. If you're looking to do something weird with that, we have a couple cards that discard cards from your opponent's hand. We have we don't have him. Never mind. I don't think that we have the beast. Maybe we do. The Kindred. Oh, we do because it's Kindred. The Kindred 4 mana 7/7. Discard a card from your hand. If it's Kindred, you discard from your opponent's. Splitting that seems fine. We have a couple discard cards in this set. Or if you really want to go off the deep end, you could do things like Esho in a all sharing the minion type. Taka, which is a 7 mana 2/2. Discover the legendary beast, Death Rattle. It shoots it out. You don't care if you're halving the stats on that because it's only 2/2 anyways, and you still get the big stats from what you're discovering. Umbra seems like a good card to split. And this came up as asking Tito because I was trying to come up with shenanigans. I don't think it's going to work. If we split Murazond, it doesn't matter how small the first one is because it still goes to infinity.
True.
But I was trying to figure out is if we play Murazond and then bounce it back into our hand, does it go to infinite attack in hand? I don't think it does, but if it does, then we could have done some ooze shenanigans.
What's the text? Now you got me wondering. So
it's just
the case for it working. Is the case for it working? The 4 mana Edwin. Do you remember the 4 mana Edwin that used to draw cards?
Yep.
So if you played that Edwin and then you shadow stepped it to your hand, if you continue to play the cards that Edwin would draw, it would buff him in hand. So I'm not saying that it will work, but I'm saying if you're going to make an argument that the Spaghetti code allows it to work, that would be your case of being like, but Edwin. And you might get slapped anyway and said, no, that's not how it works. But you tried. So at the start of next turn, set this. It is a battle cry. Ooh.
So is Edwin, though.
So is Edwin. I don't know, and I don't. I don't want to make a prediction because I honestly have no flippin' clue.
Okay, so we have two things to test against the Innkeeper when we're able to. Murazan being bounced, and Multiverse if you have only 2 board slots. Got it.
Nutty. No.
So,
Yeah, so
like we said, we talked about Rafam. Rafam feels good. Like, I think that if like you had to build a deck of 30 cards and you had 10 cards that were all named the Rafam, you'd probably play most of them because they're just that solid. The Shreds of Time feels really good. It felt better than I thought it would be. And it felt good, and I never really got the payoffs to work as far as the if you draw your 2 highest your 2 highest cards, and they drew the 2 lowest cards, which was supposed to be the Shreds of Time. I never got any of that to work, but it still felt really solid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if we're playing Quest at all because I don't know if we have enough support for that. But
it doesn't
everything
lose
else,
anything.
I mean,
Quest is the deck that I'm scared of.
It loses Sketch Artists, which are Solarium copy number 2 and number 3.
It does. It loses Sketch Artists and it loses Snow Flurry. But all the temporary stuff other than those were in the last set. This is the one that scares me that is not banned. It might not pan out, but I'm looking at it, and yes, there are some important cards in the standard list that we're not going to have access to, but a lot of it's still there. And once it gets down, then it can become very oppressive for these unrefined decks. So if they were banning the Murloc quest, I was very surprised if the Murlocs were banned that this was not banned with it, because they seem on very similar levels.
It might be banned before the end of the brawl. It might be banned before the end of the brawl if it becomes a problem.
This is the one that I'm scared of.
I do want to say about the Warlock set, again, this because you asked a wild player on, so the wild player is going to talk about wild a little bit. Rafam seem wild playable. I think you're going to see Arena Walk play it. I will say that in Warlock, something that we do that's very powerful is we play Symphony of Sins, and one of the more common hits off Symphony of Sins is draw your highest cost minion and reduce it by 3 mana. Typically, we're hitting Sargeras with that. So, like, we don't necessarily want to add a 10 cost Rafam to our deck to then dilute that very powerful turn 6 you're dropping Sargeras. Like, it's pretty darn good. It's pretty hard to top that, but people might break that combo up anyway just to play the Rafams because, like you said, Rafam is cool, Rafam is fun. The Rafam cards are not unfortunate to play, right? They're especially, like, even in my format, they're not unfortunate to play. So you're going to see that. Where the real danger in Warlock comes with the Shreds of Time cards. In particular for me, Tachyon Barrage. I saw Tachyon Barrage and I said, why was this card ever printed? It just seems so busted. One of the best decks in Wild right now is Discard Warlock. We do Expired Merchant, which is a 2 mana 2/1 battle cry. Draw your highest cost minion and discard your highest cost card, and then when it dies, it gets you 2 more copies of it. And we split Soul Barrage over and over and over again and deal a random 6 damage over and over and over again. And now you're giving me a 2 mana Soul Barrage that's not conditional, that I can rip whenever, and now I can also do funny things like run Fellwings in my deck so I can get free 3/3s on turn 1 after I coined out my Tachyon Barrage and my opponent did nothing. Like, it just seems very, very silly. And the deck is already very strong against other aggro. It's very limiting to other aggro in my format. This is just giving it more anti-aggro tools. You got the entropic whatever, the I forget what it's called, the board buff, the new whisper, Wicked Whispers, but it doesn't discard anything. That's actually kind of a benefit. And the fact that it's not shadow means we can use Sketch Artist to make sure that we always get either Solarium or Soul Barrage. The new 3/3 Doomsayer thing that you drop down and it discards, and then also you can rewind if you don't like the discards. That's toxic. Great. So now I can discard my opponent's board clear while I'm also discarding a Soul Barrage. My opponent's going to love that. And I think the most unfortunate thing is, like, it's a good thing they're tuning up the rewind card because everybody's just like, oh my God, this card's so good. we're gonna have to see rewind so freaking often. So like that's like these are 3 cards that are basically going into a really good deck that has 25 good cards, and you're possibly introducing at least 2 or 3, possibly 3, like top third of the list type cards, possibly top 5 cards. Like kind of insane, kind of nutty, kind of might see an early bout. If you don't be shocked if after 2 weeks you're just like, oh wow, they banned this from Wild. I wonder why. Like this is the kind of thing I'm looking at right now where I'm saying like I don't know if I can play a control warrior and farm up the disco locks. I might just have to go play disco lock, and that's when things get kind of toxic.
Yeah.
So this is probably the answer to the question I was going to ask you, but I was going to ask you, what are the cards that you've seen from this set that no one in Standard is going to care about, but Wild people are
Oh,
going to be excited
100%
about?
that. Especially because you already have some great examples of that happening already in Wild. Like a bunch of people see the Shreds of Time stuff and they're just like, oh, we're gonna play it in Seedlock. You don't play that in Seedlock. Seedlock is way too refined to have to like rely on a 2-mana 4/4. But you know what's a great card that we have in Wild that was absolutely meta warping when it came out that you guys don't care about? Healthstone. Healthstone is so freaking stupid in Wild because it basically took one of the hardest decks to play in that you had to gauge exactly how much damage you could take to get your Molten Giants down and then work your way back up again and be very tactical to just let me spam my green cards and I'll drool out a 0-mana Reno at the end of my turn. It doesn't even matter. It completely flipped. Like I used to be like, guys, you don't need to nerf Seedlock. You can always just burst them down. The bad ones always hurt themselves too much, and you always get there in the end. And that completely turned that away. That was gone. So like Healthstone, that's up there. Lightspeed, guys, why doesn't Lightspeed have Echo? Like you can just play as many Lightspeeds as you want. Find a way to reduce it to 0. So like we have like those types of cards in Wild for sure that are doing buckus in Standard. The Shreds of Time cards actually look kind of good. So like maybe they don't go completely untouched because they're like decent in Standard, but that's just like the amount of disco support that we're getting sort of randomly when disco's already good. I was trying to think up as a thought exercise what decks got support like this that were already good, and the answer was pretty much like Dark Lair Warlock, Pirate Rogue.
Okay.
Like we've had some scenarios where a deck was already tier 1 and then got more support. This is what that sort of feels like now.
Yep. And we have one last class. We have Warrior, where we got a lot of support for Big Warrior. We would have access to Undefeated Champion, which is the new 8-mana 13/13 rush. We would have all of the Fabled Blood Fighters that we could pull, and then also Dracorex would be available because that was from the last set. And then we have a couple of non-minion build-a-board spells, guard duty, city defenses, things like that we could use as well, so that we're still building boards and not having minions in deck. I feel like the brawl is probably the best spot for that to work. It might get to a place where it's refined later on and we have a big warrior in Standard again, but I think that we have the options to do that. Enrage got the 5-mana minion, 5-mana 2/6 taunt dragon battlecry gain +2/+2 for each damaged minion. I think that has possibilities to be utterly insane in the brawl, even though we didn't get any other enraged support. And then for an old deck, Quest stood out to me just because we got some control tools in this that can help replace some of the cards that we don't have access to. I think we have enough control tools that Quest Warrior should have a chance. If Rafams are running rampant, then Rafam probably beats Quest Warrior, but that's an option.
Yeah, I mean, Curator draws
Go ahead, Schmoop, sorry.
Curator draws Chrono Lord Epoch. That was one of the first things that I looked at like that immediately sprung to mind as a deck builder, especially because again, in my format, I run Timeline Accelerator, so I get my Curator for 3 mana, not for 5. So like having that like board clear kind of in your pocket, and it's like a good dragon, and I'm not forced to run a Razor Scale. That seems like that'd be pretty good, especially in the brawl, right? Like if Control Warrior exists, this is probably a key card in it.
I felt like Enrage felt really good in the theory crafting. I don't know if we have the support for it for the brawl, but I'm excited for it, and I think there's potential.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Slow motion go anything in standard? Because like slow motion looks like good to me in a theoretical like aggro warrior list, but I don't know of any deck that exists yet that fits that description.
It's a deck that it's a card that definitely maybe helps accelerate that kind of a deck, just because it gives you so much power to progress that, right? Like you get your minions down, and then you prevent them from developing with that card, and then you continue on developing as your things get bigger because they're enraged. I think there's a lot of power there.
Like Pylet, you probably play that in like a you probably try to play that in your like war like Dragon Warrior deck, right? Like that's
Oh,
very
yeah.
tempo, you're very forward, and then it's like I got this big beefy boy with a big butt, and now I'm going to play slow motion, and you really don't have an answer to it, and neither,
Yep.
and like it becomes asymmetrical what the board state can possibly look like.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we did Cult Neophyte for that reason for spells, and this does everything.
Yeah, this is everything. I've seen discussions like, well, why wouldn't I just play a Colt Neophyte? And it's like, well, doofus, like, yes, you miss out on the 3/2, but it's everything. It's hero cards, it's everything. And I think that effect is almost so unique. Like, do we have an effect that's that unique that it hits every card? Like, I don't. We have taxes on specific cards like spells or
Yeah.
minions, but I don't think we've had one on every card yet. Like it's almost like uncharted territory as far as like, well, how do you project this card even plays? So
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I do think also, just as a generically good card, especially if we see aggro like we're expecting, For Glory is just insane draw.
yeah, swarmy aggro
5
meta,
mana, draw
absolutely.
2.
Yep.
Yeah, 5 mana, draw 2, costs 1 less for each minion your opponent controls. There's very little reason that this is going to cost more than 2, I think, ever. So that's, I think you just, and it's a common, so you should have, if you've opened a handful of packs, you'll have access to it and just throw it in a deck.
It's like these cards were very warrior. These are very they're all sort of weird, and they're like they look kind of funky and they smell kind of funky, but they all have like a functionality if you kind of can like look past like the ugliness. Like the Unleash the Crocolisk, I can play a 0 mana Shield Shatter for 1 mana and gain 10 armor. You can gain 10 armor against a board locked opponent for free. Like that's a powerful effect to me. So like I don't know. I like a lot of these cards. A lot of these cards felt like cooking. The Precursory Strike, even like deal 3 damage. You're holding a minion that costs 5 or more. Draw a minion. Like isn't that just so warrior that you have to have this weird unplayable card in your hand basically in order to like get the added benefit of drawing. You get to draw 1 card. Good job, warrior. Like I don't know. I did like this set though. This does seem like a fun set of warrior cards.
A playable card. You have a chemical spell on 5. You're fine.
You know what? That is true. I haven't been building decks that way. That's true.
I'm ready for that card to rotate. But yeah, I think if Big Warrior, has legs, I think Precursory Strike is doing a lot of work to get us to that point. Just because it's going to be active all the time. You're going to draw, you're going to get to your stuff, you're going to kill something off for 2 mana. It's very, very good. As far as neutrals, couple neutrals that kind of stood out to me that I think you can make an argument for running a lot of decks. 2 of them already mentioned. Anything that we're going board-based aggressive, Yesterlock is the 2 mana Murloc that buffs your board, gives +1 health at the end of the turn. That's a very solid card for making a sticky board. Hourglass Attendant buffs your hand. Do we know yet, is Nozdormu the Tavern Pass card? Have we been told what that is yet?
The diamond version is the only way to get the diamond version is to buy both bundles and then to buy the super secret, double secret third bundle that they offer you. That's how you get the diamond version. I'm not sure about the other 2.
Because I looked at that and I don't know, because normally whatever that legendary is that you get for, because don't they always have one that is the very first one for the um tavern pass? I guess I could open the client and look, but we always have one that's not available because like Neralax wasn't available for Emerald Dream because it was the free legendary at the beginning on the tavern pass. I feel like Nozdormu feels like the card that would be that one. So if it's available, I think you play it in a lot of decks because we're playing new cards anyways. But I'm not sure if it'll be available or not. So that's a question for, because Esho was the one from last set. We couldn't play Esho because it was the free legendary. So Nozdormu, if it's available, play it, but it might not be available because of that.
I like that it
I
says
don't think.
One thing.
sorry, I like that it says newest
Go ahead, Sean.
expansion on it.
Yes.
And not just like this expansion. So like you're
Yes.
and that's really exciting for me because like it looked decent in the theorycraft. That was one of the cards that definitely impressed me. And like the fact that like I have this option to make a 3 mana 8/8 with rush just by spamming things that I normally would on a pretty early turn. That seems pretty cool. That seems pretty pog.
One of my favorite things about the expansion so far is that I didn't feel like any neutral is going to be meta defining. It didn't feel like they're not saying there won't be neutrals that find play homes and are powerful and are effective in what they're doing, but there's no fire. There's no Sire Denathrius. There's no card that's going to be in like 60% of decks that you're like, hey, I lost again a Sire Denathrius in whatever class I'm playing
I'm
against.
still mad you
That
guys
doesn't
got
feel
Ethereal
like that.
Oracle nerfed. I'm still mad at you. Okay. It was a cool card and it was fine. And you guys are babies. That's all I have to say about that.
Hey, I played a lot of Asteroid Shaman. I didn't want it nerfed.
So, any other thoughts for the pre-release brawl?
Keep it low to the ground. Try to punch your opponent in the face. Don't try to do anything crazy. You're going to win packs.
I will discover the good list somewhere and spam it mercilessly because this isn't about having fun. Okay. This is about acquiring cards so that you can have fun later.
I have to agree with that this time
This
around.
is not the time to have fun. And it always amazes me that I can kind of like just sort of waltz in with a decent deck. I mean, I still like, again, because I don't really stray that far into standard. I don't play standard that much. I don't push for rank ever. It still amazes me how much like you get a decent deck and like I can just sort of go out there and all right, let's just farm 6 wins for a couple hours. You got to know for the last couple brawls when they've had like the really dumb deck, I've had some done win rates like 18-2, 18-3. The losses are usually the mirror. So I can't wait to spam whatever deck that's going to be.
And like you were saying, like normally I take a bundle from the cards that have been given to us by Blizzard. I didn't do it this time. And I'm like, well, I guess that means I'm not going to play a lot in the brawl, or I'm not going to have a lot of options in the brawl. So I'm going to have to let it be dictated to me what I can play based on whatever cards I get from the like 8 packs that I have because I've been participating in like community days and whatnot. So I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to have like 2 legendary cards. I'm going to have to go with whatever they are, and it'll be interesting. Pylet, what are you doing for the brawl?
I will be the one balancing things out and having stupid fun with bad new cards, which is what I normally do in these. And I've normally had success with that. I ran multiple 6-win runs with Draenei Warrior for Dark Beyond. Draenei Warrior was a lot of fun and really, really strong for the pre-release brawl. So I think you can find fun new stuff to win with. But yeah, if you're trying to farm packs, then hit him in the face. But I will be doing all the other shenanigans.
And that's good. And it was nice that Draenei, would you say was it Draenei Warrior, Draenei Shaman?
Warrior.
Draenei Warrior had a day in the sun for at least a week or 2 before it was really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Sigh. So, Schmoopy, we're gonna I don't remember what your answer was, so we're gonna go back to the normal question of the week. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, I'm actually surprisingly boring. I will take a vanilla shake. Give me like a normal vanilla shake. That is for me just divine.
Fair enough. I do like a good vanilla shake. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna disagree with you there. Yeah. So if you'd like to support our show, you can do so by joining our Patreon over at https www.patreon.com/breadandbutterhs. In fact, you get wonderful perks like you get raw audio early, unless it was last week where you got the raw audio after we put out the raw audio because AWS was down for the week and it really screwed everything up. We had you get access to our Discord, or that you can get on Discord regardless, but you get access to special channels where we have all our previous guests and you can ask questions and help shape the show. So if you think you're like, hey, you're having Schmoopydaddy on, boy, I really wish I could ask him about this thing, you could have asked and we would have asked them. So that's a great perk. Plus, another great perk is when we get bundles like this, we're giving them away to patrons. And our patron pool is pretty small right now, so it's almost a guaranteed win for somebody to get a bonus pack this week. So if you'd like to support us in a non-financial way, you can let people know about the show and tell us how we're doing. If you leave us a review, 5 stars usually helps, but we'll take whatever you give us. Let us know how we're doing. If you're not thrilled, let us know. We'll let you know what we can do better, or you let us know what we can do better, and we'll let you know why you're stupid. I'm just kidding. We will listen to you and take that feedback and try to help make the show better. Schmoopy, you're not pizza because Pylet didn't update this part of the show notes.
Oops.
Schmoopy,
I knew I forgot something.
where can people find you on the social media?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I never expected to make content. So like me and my ADHD did not remember how I spelled Schmoopydaddy across several platforms. And Blizzard also kind of kneecapped me a little bit by not allowing me to have 2 D's at the end of daddy for my username on Blizzard. So on Twitch, I am Schmoopydaddy. Because that's how No Hands once read it. And I was just like, you know what? No Hands nailed it. So if that's how it's spelled on YouTube, it's just Schmoopydaddy SCHMOOPYDADYHS for the wild stuff. And I'm also on the Born to Be Wild podcast occasionally on Fridays when we do our recording as well. And so it's fun visiting for a day on podcast. Thank you for having me.
MOUSC. Pylet, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me Pylet712. That's Pylet. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well as Discord.
And you can find me at Tito Santana HS on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. And if I'm not somewhere, just let me know. I will find my way there because I just want to be there for you. You can also find the show Bread and Butter HS on Twitch now because that's where we're streaming. And you can also find Bread Butter HS on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Schmoopy, anything you'd like to promote or shout out this week?
Thank you to my wife for putting up with me.
That's fair.
Understood. Pylet, you have anything you'd like to promote or shout out this week?
Gonna shout out a couple of our local Lorcana people. They went up to the Milwaukee DLC and they decided last minute that they were both going to run the same deck and they needed to borrow a couple cards from me that they were missing. And they ended up, I got a message then a couple days later. It's just like, hey, do you want one of them signed while we're here? So getting one of my cards signed, which is awesome. So shout out to them.
And I'm going to shout out everybody that showed up to the channel tonight. This is our first time streaming on the Bread and Butter HS Twitch account. And we already have a lot of people. I'm sure the giveaway had a lot to do with it. But we still appreciate you coming out anyway and helping us grow our channel. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you find a new home here. We love feedback. And we just love having you guys. We're here for you. And that's the whole reason we do it. But I think we're toast, everybody. We'll see ya.
See ya.